Everybody, welcome back. Episode 12 of the Fast Motor Podcast. I'm your host, Elijah. My dad, Randy. Full disclosure, going to be a pretty short and sweet episode this week. Crazy week last week. Didn't. It was on me completely not to reach out to a guest to get it lined up. Should have something unique, kind of fun looking for next week though. So it'll be something kind of different. All of our guests have been unique in terms of perspectives. So that's been really fun, and we got another kind of new and interesting one. Hopefully lined up for next week. So look out for a guest announcement in the next couple of days. So updates from the week. I'll start off kind of just listing off winners from Meridian. Follow that weekly, and I like to highlight them. Their late model series opened up. Jesse James Lawson got the win there. Vintage sprints. Or vintage racers, I think they're calling them now, because there's some modifieds and some sprints in there mixed in. Joey Lehman, he won, and they race. They really race. They don't just go and drive around. There's some guys out there that'll get after it. The midgets, Casey Heesh got the victory in kind of a Steve Lewis tribute. It's in white with a red number 9 car. So I always think that one's kind of cool. Street stocks were won by Andrew Palmer. The trucks were back with twin 35s. And same story, different verse. John Newhouse wins both of them, which as the trucks race this year, probably we'll hear that a lot. The junior stingers, Hayden Wenderath got the victory, and the Thunderdogs was won by a car named Mellow Yellow. Thunderdogs are back in action at Meridian. So fun stuff there. Cars Tour, which we'll get into a little bit in more detail after kind of the recap. The Pro Late Models were won by Dawson Sutton, Nashville local. So kind of fun to see that kind of rise to the top there. And then the late model stocks were won by Caden Quapple, who kind of got the race lead on a late restart. The Sprint for the Million at Five Flags, their first event, with the wing sprint cars down there, bad fast. And Aaron Willison got the win, kind of diced his way through traffic to take the lead from Montgomery and took off. Smart Modifieds at Hickory, Danny Bone was victorious for the second time this year. Then we'll stick with the modifieds. We'll go Wheelan Mods at Thompson. Stephen Kopsick, who got his first career win at Martinsville, got another win. So he's strong and coming on the scene this year, so he'll be fun to watch. Gonna flip over to some sprint car action, the Justin Owen Memorial at Lawrenceburg. Briggs Danner got the win there, which he's turned in over the last couple of years into kind of a young hot shit that was up and coming to a real threat to win week in and week out every place they go. So he's fun to watch. And then they were at Terre Haute, and Kyle Cummins got the win. Started up front and made the right moves and kept it clean, and got the win. And he's another one that has really emerged as, obviously the defending champion, as a championship threat week in, week out, wherever they go. He can race with the best of them. Cars Tour West, they were the sanctioning host to the Apple Cup up at Tri-City. Super late model portion was won by Ethan Ebert in the 9 car, and then Thomas Stanford won the pro car on Saturday. So some good action up there. ARCA West was out at Tucson, and Cole Denton got his first career win. And going on back to the dirt, Outlaws I-55. Again, so much racing. Outlaws at I-55, Buddy Kofoid swept both nights. A couple of really good races there as well. Then go to the Bristol stuff. Christopher Bell got the truck race win by passing on the outside when it didn't really look like that was a preferred lane. A really impressive late race run from him. O'Reilly at Bristol. Connor Zilich got the win. Larson kind of had it dominated, and Zilich got the lead late and took off, and Larson just wasn't able to get back by him. And then the Cup race, Ty Gibbs, first career win, kind of a long time coming, especially this year with the speed that they've had. Cool to see. Always cool to see a first time win. I always am happy to see a first career win. So it's cool to see that. But yeah, Dad, anything you wanted to highlight?
There's a lot of highlights there.
There's a lot of highlights.
I think Briggs Danner is pretty interesting just in the aspect of, you and I have talked about it, like he was so fast, but seemed like he lacked a little bit of the racecraft to finish it out. And we both talked about when he finds that little magic out of as fast as he is, he will be somebody really to reckon with, and he's shown that. He's starting to really appear. Terre Haute's always just fun to watch that. It was interesting to hear Kyle Cummins' interview after to talk about knew Grant was there, knew Grant was coming because he's such a master on those kind of tracks. So, I'd just love to see the respect amongst racers. So that was pretty cool. One thing that you saw on the open wheel, the sprint cars on Five Flags is the rear axles braking, that we're starting to see more and more. Corey Day broke in Las Vegas, and you're starting to see, if it's heat, if it's load, if it's just what's causing these rear axles to break, which, I think there's a lot of chatter about it now of, what is it? Is it the brakes are so good and they're developing such heat? You see the rotors glowing a lot, and now you see the snapping, or is it the load? And it's just the evolution of getting better, getting faster, and what does that mean on the cars? And then, I obviously Christopher Bell to go in and Hallmar's, equipment and, get them kind of a victory there you just saw the emotion from everybody. That was pretty special. I wasn't able to watch the O'Reilly race, but the Cup race, I think you've watched Ty Gibbs. There's a really interesting story here, from what we learned in Darlington, talking to people about how hard Coy pushed Ty and held him accountable and held him. And then to lose your father on the championship night of his, of a career. I get that he grew up with everything kind of given to him. I get that he's running in the best of equipment. He lost his father on the night of probably the biggest night of his life. And to try to rebound and try to hold up, like, he's still a young man. And I don't think people give him credit for overcoming what he's overcome. No matter what kind of equipment it takes a lot of work. I know there was questionable work ethic in the past. I know there was this, everybody deserves a little break and grace when they've lost somebody. So for him to kind of persevere and become so good this year, I think says a lot of how hard he's trying and working on it. So to see him win, like him or not, it was very well respected, and you could see that by the number of cars and we all see what we see from social media or the media, but when you watch driver after driver after driver go congratulate him, it says the respect that he has, there and how much people respected the win. So that was huge. And you saw in Nashville, I think the biggest story of the weekend is the Nashville Fairgrounds of like, hey, if you want this racing to survive, show up. And you have a star like Dale Jr. basically say it and call everybody out and say, come and support it. And there was just electric energy there. Like to watch, all of the social media postings and everything that was going on. I mean, you were there. So, I mean, it looked that cool. Was it?
It was absolutely. And especially looking like I wasn't going to get able to go. But I will say, I need to say that I'm going to say this first. I'm going to go on publicly and say this first. The best part about it for me had nothing to do with the fairgrounds or the race or the Cars Tour, but that my wife met me at my last travel ball game to drive over there, book it, and then hustle to get in there. And we walked in right as the late model stocks were going out on track. We missed the pro race, but right as they were getting on track and go and sat and watched the whole race, that was the best part for me. I wanted to publicly say that, and because that was phenomenal. But then, yeah, the energy. I mean, walking in, like, I took a video walking like up the steps to kind of go, then you go down through the grandstands. and everybody on their feet waving stuff. I mean, just electrified to be there. It was something special. And then to see Junior Nation from like the fabled of his cup days of I'm looking down into turns 3 and 4, watching the leaders battle it out because you had the top 3 under a blanket, Eatman, Fecho, I believe it was Lapsovich at the time, just under a blanket trying to dice through lap traffic and getting back. And I'm staring, like looking down around. And then I see the faces of everybody looking right back at me. And I turn and I'm like, oh, Junior's over there. Like, because he's qualified deep because he has very publicly said he struggles to qualify those cars. And anytime he passed a car, and he passed a lot of cars, just screaming and jumping and hollering, and like everybody just so energized just watching him come up through the field. And the race up front was good. I mean, it was hard racing through traffic. It was very clean racing. But it was fun. I mean, it was just a lot of fun to see that many people at the fairgrounds because I've never got to see that. You know, I hear about it, hear all the stories, but I've never got to see that. And see thousands and thousands of people there just super excited. And then you go up and you think that like, oh man, like, you know, I'm going to be able to go and get a snack really quick. Like we got there and we're going to go get a quick snack before we went and sat down as they were kind of staging, getting the lineup right. And those lines were 150 people deep up there. And we're like, oh my gosh, like we couldn't figure out where we were going to sit. And we can't even, there's more people up here. So where are these people all sitting? So it was cool. It was a lot of fun.
You know, I guess that the question that comes to mind to me is like you go to a standard Saturday night race at Nashville and there's just nobody there.
No, there was as many people at practice because I went between the travel ball games I was coaching and went and had lunch there and watched practice for the pros and the stocks during the midday. And there was as many people there at practice that there are on a standard Saturday night show.
So these are fans, obviously, that love the sport.
Mm-hmm.
But why can't we get them to support? You need the support on the regular basis in order to have the big shows. And I just feel like there's just more divide, you know, like it's, you know, and I think you're seeing it in, you know, we talked about it earlier and we'll talk about it now is between the trucks, the O'Reilly and the Cup. Like back when I was racing, I mean, I remember being a standalone truck race, I think with the Indy cars, but we had 79,000 people in the grandstands. And I know that was in the height of the NASCAR era, but to look at Bristol and watch the O'Reilly race, which everybody wants to on social media talk about the O'Reilly cars and the O'Reilly racing and how great it is and how the cars need to be in Cup like they are for O'Reilly and all of this kind of stuff. But no one's showing up to watch it.
No.
You know? I mean,
empty.
A lot of social media buzz is about not enough fans there for the Cup races, but let's talk about the support races. They have nothing. So where are these fans that think they love racing? They don't. They love the entertainment. They love the show. And it's the same with, you know, those in Nashville. Like they love those big showy events and the entertainment value. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's
how do we cater to that more?
But how do we find we've got to support the other in order to have this? Like we're
going to sell the other.
Yeah.
I think it goes both ways. I think like we call on the race fans to go and support because like I'm not saying I'm in the camp of like, hey, the O'Reilly car should be the Cup car, but I do love the O'Reilly racing. I love
it.
And I'm all for it. But I'm also going to go to every race that I get the opportunity to go to. Whereas, you know, there's a lot of people and they'll get on and whine and are they showing up? I don't know. So it goes on that side of like, hey, we need fans to show up to races. But I think we also got to advertise it, could go, okay, this is what's putting the butts in the seats. How can we make this more? Because those people were there because of Dale Jr. Dale Jr. is a star, and you're not going to have another star like Dale Jr., and you're not going to be able to do that every week. But we've talked about it quite a lot of making drivers stars and figuring out how to connect people to drivers. And if there's a quarter of that star that Dale Jr. is, or an eighth of a star that Dale Jr. is, you're going to get that's 1,000 people based on how many numbers were at Nashville this weekend. That's 1,000 more people.
Well, if Travis Quapple came right at the end of my career. So, his two kids that have came up now. And, we saw Travis in Darlington. He's there in his working clothes. I mean, he is a dad supporting his kids, doing everything he can to help them succeed.
Hey, the crew chief.
Right. I mean, if you get behind the scenes of this, that is a hard-working group of people finding a way to go succeed in this sport. I mean, that's a great story. It's what everybody's asking for. And then you go through the lineup and you have that. And there's really, really remarkable stories in the Cars Tour of guys grinding their way to trying to find this success. We just saw Lee Pullman that goes to Martinsville. And I didn't even know his story. I to watch him emotional with his kids, how big that moment meant to him. How can you not love that? How can you not want to go support that? And those stories are all there, and they're not being told to the level they need to be told. And we're race fans, and I don't know half of them. So, there is that story. And then you see on the O'Reilly series, or you see the truck series. I mean, I think it was really interesting when we had Matt on, a couple weeks ago, or last week.
Last week. It was a long week.
Yeah. And I was talking about, the end of my career and what that meant. And it just was fascinating to see him really just oh my gosh, I've never even thought of it this way. And it's all of those guys at that level are at that point. They are fighting tooth and nail to stay relevant, stay in this industry, stay, keep their dream alive. And I think sometimes that gets, that they're sponsored and they have daddy's money, or they have whatever, the silver spoon, but they still have that dream. The dream doesn't change. I mean, some of them, maybe when they back off, life is a little easier for them than somebody else, but it's still a dream to make it.
Yeah.
And, they're all a step away from that not happening, because there's somebody else with money now that might be better. So, I think the sport really is, it feels like it's more divided than ever, of local, barely supported, barely surviving, to, cup that's okay, but, or big shows that's okay, and Rockingham sounded like it had great support. So there was lots of people there, but, on a cup weekend at at Bristol, and I know there's, so many seats, and it always will look bare and empty, but it just didn't feel like many were there. And the truck race was the same. And yet it's great racing. So it's not the racing that puts people in the seats. It's the entertainment value with the stars. And, it's really an interesting and very, it's a conundrum of what satisfies and what draws people there.
Yeah. No, exactly. Because it's not the racing. And you could even argue with the trucks, it's not the stars either, because Kyle Busch was in it. Christopher Bell, Cup driver, won it. They have the star power. So there's something else that needs to be the draw. And, I'm, fortunate. I've grown up fortunate enough to have kind of some connections to get tickets for weekends and stuff like that to go to race weekend. So I don't know what ticket prices are or what kind of packages they offer or what that is. And maybe it's part of that side. I'm not, I should probably do a little bit more research into that side of it to really form an opinion on that. But, there's a lot that can go into it. I guess we just got to keep trying to figure it out.
Well, that's what we're here for.
And we're here to We're here to solve all the world's problems. So
well, and we're here to celebrate. Like,
yep.
Nashville was incredibly successful, and they have a big battle there to keep that and maintain that historic fairgrounds. And people love the nostalgia, and I think that was fantastic to bring back that, and maybe that'll bring it back on a local level as well. Like, oh my gosh, we always love to do this. We need to come back.
Yeah. We could get some momentum for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure it will gain some momentum.
Yeah. So I got Spring Nationals this week with the Legend cars and all the Bandoleros out there. So it'll be a fun weekend. I'm hoping to get over there on Saturday for a little while. So
what is the racing coming up this weekend?
This
High
weekend,
Limits back.
High Limits back. Golly, it's even. I always wait for today to I write out. I have all my notes on my weekly racing update, and I always wait till after today to clear last week and look forward to today or to next week. I know that NASCAR stuff's at Kansas. ARCA's back at Kansas. Yeah, High Limits back at Lakeside and Lucas Oil. I want to say USAC might have an off weekend. Cars Tour West is back there at
I thought it was really interesting that Keelan Harvick was at the West race.
Grove Apple Cup.
And not at Nashville.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting as well.
I think that shows a real investment to continue to try to build up the West Coast.
Yeah,
back to what it was. When I came through racing, the Northwest and Southwest tours were super strong. You had Garrett Evans and Jerry Bowers, and the stars. John Dillon, that was from Idaho, was all in the Northwest. And I mean, gosh, you have. Trying to think, they highlighted him the other day as a spotter in the Cup race. Hamlin, that was out west, and you had the Northwest Tour was a strong late model series, and then you had the Southwest Tour with a lot of guys that ended up in the trucks, and so the investment of trying to really make that strong again is I think very cool. It's very and if that's the focus, or if it's allowed Keelan to go get used to late models, but he won the Snowflake, right? So it's not like he was the deep as the pool gets there. So so I Kevin has stake in the Cars Tour, so him trying to promote that out there, I think, is impressive.
I know he has a big hand in it. So
So Apple Cup's been around forever. I remember it for forever.
Very historic race in itself. Yeah, I know. When I met Kevin at Nashville at All American Weekend last year, and just introduced myself as your son. And he perked right up and knew exactly, and talked to him, and was talking to him a little bit about the Cars West deal. And he's, was like, he kind of assured me that he has a very personal, very active role in promoting all that.
It made him.
Revamping. Right? It made him, yeah. And then I think that's why he cares so deeply about it. So and Sears is the sponsor, and so that's who he came up with. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So it kind of, I guess, wraps us up for this one. I said it would be short and sweet. We are back at it, regularly scheduled programming next week. And then it will be a week off because then I go on my honeymoon to Disney World. So I will be MIA for a good number of days there. So, but yeah, every Wednesday, obviously except that week, Spotify and YouTube, Wednesday mornings. We'll see you guys again. See you guys next week.